Stop. Stop right there. Before this story begins, we need to warn you about something. In this video, there is a pet so rare, so powerful, so legendary, that only one player in the entire Adopt Me world has ever seen it. And that player is a girl named Mia. And today, everything in her world is about to change. Stay until the very end, because the last 2 minutes of this story contain a secret that will blow your mind completely. Are you ready? Then let's go. Mia was, by most definitions, a completely ordinary Adopt Me player. She had a small house, not the mansion with the waterfall and the rooftop garden that she had been dreaming about since she first joined the game, not the castle with the drawbridge and the secret underground room, just a small, cozy house with yellow walls and a blue door and a little garden out front where she had planted sunflowers, because sunflowers were her favorite and they cost almost nothing. She had 3 pets, a dog named Biscuit, brown, floppy-eared, absolutely devoted to Mia in the way that only dogs can be, which is to say completely and without any conditions whatsoever. Biscuit had been her very first pet. She had hatched him from a starter egg on her very first day, and she had never once considered trading him, even when other players offered her ultra rares in exchange. Biscuit was not for trading. Biscuit was forever. She had a cat named Marble, gray and white and slightly judgmental in the way that cats often are. Marble had opinions about everything. She had opinions about the furniture, she had opinions about the weather, she had opinions about Biscuit, which she expressed primarily through a very specific look that said, "I am tolerating you and you should be grateful." And she had a bunny named Pip, small, white, with enormous ears that were slightly too big for her body, which gave her a permanently surprised expression that Mia found completely irresistible. Biscuit, Marble, Pip. Not legendary. Not ultra rare, not neon, not mega neon, not glowing or flying or writing, just hers. And Mia loved them more than anything in the entire blocky, colorful, endlessly surprising world of Adopt Me. But here's the thing. Today was not going to be an ordinary day, because today, at exactly this moment, something was happening on the other side of the map. Something that had not happened in the history of Adopt Me. Not once, not ever. Keep watching, you'll see it in just a moment. Mia was doing her morning routine, feeding Biscuit his breakfast, which he ate with the focused intensity of someone who had not eaten in 1,000 years, despite having eaten 12 minutes ago. Giving Marble her morning brush, which Marble accepted with the dignified tolerance of royalty receiving tribute, and refilling Pip's water bowl, which Pip immediately knocked over, because Pip was Pip, when her screen lit up. A notification. Not a normal notification. This one was gold, shimmering, pulsing, glowing gold. The kind of gold that Mia had never seen before in all her months of playing. She leaned closer, she read the words, and her mouth fell open. World event, the legendary mystery egg has appeared. Location, the ancient forest. 1 egg, 1 player, forever. First player to reach it claims it. The egg will disappear in 14 minutes and 59 seconds. Mia stared at the screen. 14 minutes, 59 seconds. She looked at Biscuit. Biscuit looked back at her with his big brown eyes, tail wagging at approximately the speed of a helicopter rotor. "Okay," said Mia. She grabbed her backpack. "We're going." Hey, real quick, if you had 14 minutes to run across the entire Adopt Me map, could you make it? Tell us in the comments. And if you're enjoying this story, that like button is right there. Every single like helps us make more stories for you. Okay, back to Mia. She's running. Let's go. The ancient forest was on the far edge of the map. Mia knew this because she had looked at the map approximately 400 times, dreaming about the day she would have enough bucks to buy the forest cottage that sat at its edge. A beautiful little house with a moss-covered roof and a door shaped like a tree trunk, and windows that glowed warm amber in the evenings. She had never actually been to the ancient forest. It was far. It was very, very far. She started running. Biscuit ran beside her, ears flapping, tongue out, absolutely delighted by this unexpected adventure. Marble rode on Mia's shoulder, gripping with her claws and looking deeply unimpressed by the urgency of the situation. Pip bounced along behind them, her enormous ears acting as a kind of natural parachute that slowed her down slightly, which was not ideal given the time pressure. 13 minutes, 42 seconds. Mia ran past the nursery, where new players were hatching their first eggs, their faces bright with the particular joy of not yet knowing how rare legendary pets were. She ran past the school, where a group of players were sitting in tiny chairs, learning absolutely nothing because the teacher NPC had been stuck in a loop saying, "Good morning, class," for the past 6 minutes. She ran past the hospital, the supermarket, the pet shop with its glowing window display of eggs in every color. And she stopped. Just for 1 second. She stopped in front of the pet shop window. Because there, in the display, was an egg she had never seen before. It was small, pale blue, with a single silver star on its surface. And it was labeled Starter Egg, Free. Mia frowned. She already had a starter egg. She had hatched it on her first day. That was how she got Biscuit. But something about this egg, something about the way the silver star seemed to pulse, very faintly, like a heartbeat. 12 minutes, 58 seconds. She kept running. Wait, before we go any further, this channel makes Roblox stories every week. Stories about Adopt Me, stories about Blox Fruits, stories about the rarest pets, the biggest adventures, the most legendary moments in Roblox history. And if you subscribe right now, you won't miss a single one. That subscribe button is right below this video. Hit it. We'll wait. Done? Amazing! You're officially part of the family. Now, back to Mia. She's running out of time. She was halfway across the map when she heard the footsteps. Fast footsteps. Faster than hers. She looked to her left. Another player. A boy. His avatar tall and confident, wearing a neon dragon wings backpack that glowed electric blue in the afternoon light. He had a full team of legendary pets. A frost dragon, a shadow dragon, a bat dragon, and a golden unicorn, all flying in perfect formation above his head like a personal air force. He was fast. He was very fast. And he was heading in exactly the same direction as Mia. Their eyes met, or rather, their avatars' eyes met, which in Adopt Me means two small faces turning toward each other with the particular blankness of Roblox character models. The boy's username floated above his head in white letters, XX_DragonKing_XX. He looked at Mia. He looked at her small house, her ordinary pets, her sunflower garden. He smiled. Not a nice smile. "You're not going to make it," he said, and he ran. Oh no! DragonKing has legendary pets! He has flying pets! He's faster than Mia! He's going to get there first! Or is he? Because here's something DragonKing doesn't know. Something about the ancient forest. Something about the egg. Something that changes everything. Keep watching. We promise you will not see this coming. 10 minutes, 14 seconds. The ancient forest was nothing like Mia had imagined. She had imagined something beautiful. Tall trees with golden leaves, soft light filtering through the canopy, maybe some friendly woodland creatures hopping around in the undergrowth. The ancient forest was beautiful, but it was also something else. The trees here were enormous. Not the normal Adopt Me trees that dotted the rest of the map, but ancient, towering things with trunks as wide as houses and roots that rose from the ground like the backs of sleeping giants. The leaves were not green, but deep, deep blue, the color of the sky just before midnight, and they rustled in a wind that Mia couldn't feel, as if they were whispering to each other in a language she almost understood. The light here was different too, softer, older, like the light in a room where something important had happened a very long time ago. Biscuit pressed close to Mia's leg. Even Marble had stopped looking judgmental. She was looking around with wide, serious eyes, her tail very still. Pip's ears were straight up. "It's okay," Mia whispered, though she wasn't entirely sure it was. She kept walking. 9 minutes, 33 seconds. The forest was quiet, too quiet, and then A sound, low, musical, like a single note played on an instrument Mia had never heard before. She followed it, through the blue-leaved trees, past a stream that ran silver over smooth stones, around a boulder covered in glowing moss that pulsed gently like breathing. And then she saw it, the clearing. It was perfectly circular, as if someone had drawn it with a compass. The ground was covered in soft grass that glowed faintly gold. In the very center of the clearing, sitting on a small pedestal of white stone, the egg. It was larger than she had expected, about the size of a basketball. Its surface was deep, deep purple, the color of the sky at the exact moment between sunset and night. And across it, in patterns that shifted and moved as she watched, were constellations, stars, galaxies. The entire universe mapped across the surface of a single egg. Mia took one step toward it, and a voice said, "Stop!" She stopped. DragonKing stepped out from the trees on the other side of the clearing. His frost dragon landed beside him with a sound like breaking ice. His shadow dragon curled around his feet, its dark wings folding slowly. He looked at the egg. He looked at Mia. "I got here first," he said. Mia looked at the timer. 8 minutes, 47 seconds. "No, you didn't," she said. "We got here at the same time." DragonKing shrugged. "Doesn't matter. Look at my pets. Look at yours. You really think you deserve that egg more than me?" Mia looked at Biscuit. Biscuit looked back at her, tail wagging. She looked at Marble. Marble looked back at her with those serious gray eyes. She looked at Pip. Pip's enormous ears were perfectly still. "Yes," said Mia quietly. "I do." DragonKing laughed. He walked toward the egg. And the egg glowed. Okay, wait. The egg is glowing. What does that mean? Before we find out, if you haven't subscribed yet, this is the moment, right now. Because what happens next is the most incredible thing we have ever put in a Roblox story. Subscribe, like, and let's finish this together. DragonKing reached out his hand. His fingers were inches from the egg, and the egg moved, not toward him, away from him. It rolled, slowly, deliberately, as if it had somewhere specific to be, across the glowing grass of the clearing, toward Mia. DragonKing froze. The egg stopped at Mia's feet. She looked down at it. The constellations on its surface were moving faster now, spinning and shifting, and in the center of all that movement, one constellation had become brighter than all the others. She recognized it. It was the same star pattern as the silver star on the starter egg she had seen in the pet shop window. The same star, the one that had pulsed like a heartbeat. Mia knelt down. She picked up the egg. It was warm, not hot, warm. The way a hand is warm when someone you love is holding it. "That's not fair," said DragonKing. His voice was different now, smaller. "I have legendary pets. I have the best pets in the game. Why did it choose her?" The forest was quiet for a moment. And then, and Mia would never be entirely sure if she imagined this, the ancient trees seemed to lean in, just slightly, as if they were listening. And a sound came from the egg. Not a crack, not a tap. A heartbeat. One single steady heartbeat. And Biscuit, ordinary, floppy-eared, completely non-legendary Biscuit, sat down next to Mia, pressed his warm side against her leg, and wagged his tail. Here's the thing about Adopt Me that most players forget. The rarest pets aren't always the most legendary ones. The rarest thing in Adopt Me, the rarest thing in any game in any world, is a player who loves their pets not because they're valuable, but just because they're theirs. Mia never traded Biscuit, not once, not for anything, and the egg knew. 3 minutes, 12 seconds. The egg was hatching. Mia sat cross-legged in the glowing grass of the ancient forest clearing, the egg cradled in her lap, and she watched the cracks appear. Thin lines of golden light spreading across the purple surface like a map being drawn in real time. Biscuit sat on her left, Marble sat on her right, very straight, very still, watching the egg with an expression that was not quite her usual judgmental look. It was something softer, something that might, in a certain light, be called wonder. Pip had climbed onto Mia's knee and was watching the egg from approximately 3 centimeters away, her enormous ears framing her face like parentheses around something very important. DragonKing was still there. He hadn't left. He was standing at the edge of the clearing, his legendary pets quiet around him, watching. The cracks spread, the golden light grew brighter, and then the egg opened. What came out was small, smaller than Mia had expected. It was a fox, a tiny, perfect fox, no bigger than Pip, with fur the color of the night sky, deep blue-black, with points of light scattered across it like stars. Its eyes were open, and they were the color of the moon, pale silver, luminous, impossibly bright. It looked at Mia. Mia looked at it. "Oh," she said softly. The fox stepped out of the broken shell, shook itself once, a shower of golden light scattered from its fur like sparks, and walked directly to Mia. It climbed into her lap. It curled up between Biscuit and Pip. It closed its moon-silver eyes, and it went to sleep. The notification appeared on Mia's screen. Gold, shimmering, pulsing. New pet obtained. Constellation Fox. Rarity. Mythic. The rarest pet in Adopt Me history. Only one exists in the entire world. It chose you. Mia read the words. She read them again. She looked at the fox sleeping in her lap. She looked at Biscuit, who was already trying to make friends with it by gently placing one paw on its tail. She looked at Marble, who was looking at the fox with an expression that said, "Fine, it can stay, but I have conditions." She looked at Pip, who had fallen asleep next to the fox, their noses almost touching. And Mia smiled. Not because she had the rarest pet in the world, but because she was home. DragonKing walked over. He stood in front of Mia for a long moment. Then he sat down in the glowing grass. "Can I see it?" he asked. His voice was very quiet. Mia looked at him. She looked at his legendary pets. The frost dragon, the shadow dragon, the bat dragon, the golden unicorn, all sitting around him, all watching the constellation fox with the same wide, wondering eyes. "What's your real name?" she asked. He blinked. "Jake." "Hi, Jake," said Mia. "I'm Mia." She held out the constellation fox. It opened one moon-silver eye. It looked at Jake, and it purred. That evening, Mia went home to her small yellow house with the blue door and the sunflower garden. She fed Biscuit his dinner, which he ate with the focused intensity of someone who had not eaten in 1,000 years. She brushed Marble, who accepted this with the dignified tolerance of royalty. She refilled Pip's water bowl, which Pip immediately knocked over, and she made a new bed, soft, star-patterned, just the right size, for the constellation fox, who curled up in it immediately and began to glow very faintly in the dark, like a nightlight made of starlight. Mia sat on her bed and looked at her pets. Biscuit, Marble, Pip, and now the constellation fox, the rarest pet in the world, sleeping in a star-patterned bed in a small yellow house that was not a mansion, not a castle, not a forest cottage with a moss-covered roof. Just a home, her home. And it was, she thought, exactly enough. And that is the end of Mia's story, for now. Because Jake, DragonKing, has a story too. And in the next video, something happens to his shadow dragon. Something that nobody, not even Jake, saw coming. Something that will make you laugh and cry and probably pause the video and rewind it 3 times just to make sure you saw what you think you saw. That video comes out next week, but only if you're subscribed. So here's what you need to do right now. Subscribe so you don't miss Jake's story. Like this video. It takes literally 1 second and it helps us so much. Comment below, what would you name the constellation fox? We're reading every single comment, every one. Hit the bell so YouTube actually tells you when the next video is out. And one more thing, if you know someone, a friend, a little brother, a little sister, anyone who loves Adopt Me, share this video with them right now, because everyone deserves a good story at bedtime. See you next week.